Hello ladies and gents, PepperBelly here, and today I'm going to be talking about the recent patch for Battlefield 4 which addresses the netcode issue that's been so widespread and prevalent among the Battlefield community. Everybody knows about it. It's one of the main reasons why I stopped playing Battlefield 4, because I just couldn't put up with the whole fact that it was just really inconsistent and not fluid and smooth and reactionary and all that stuff. It was just very distorted and annoying, and just basically was a confusing mess of just nonsensical stuff that was happening all the time on screen, because everything didn't really work properly, especially coming from Battlefield 3, which ran smoothly. Like Battlefield 3 is like the holy grail in comparison to this game, and I was really hoping that Battlefield 4 would get fixed. And honestly, it's been a very long time since the game's been released in October. It's been almost a year now, and they're finally rolling out the first patches to address this issue, and whether or not they're actually working, that is what we're going to discuss. Now, if you were a premium player, you've probably heard about the CTE server test environment that they had running exclusively for them, in which you had to pretty much download an entire new version of Battlefield 4 and then patch it to the latest patches, and then go online on their test servers to try out the new tick rates. These tick rates are basically how fast the server sends data to your client and vice versa. Now, every single player uploads a tick rate of 30 hertz. That's 30 times per second that data is being transferred out to the server that you're playing on. Now, of course, they're actually giving you the option with this recent patch to choose how much data the server actually transfers to you. During the CT phases, where basically you were playing on servers that had tick rates of up to 30. Now, apparently it was working pretty well. You know, it's been well received by the players and all the people who were playing and participating in the test. So now they finally rolled out the patch to the regular game client. So those of us who were playing Battlefield normally finally got that 500 megabyte update, which gives us this feature. Now, what the core feature is the high frequency network option. You go and access this by going into your settings, go to the gameplay tab, scroll down, and you'll see it. It's not a slider. It's kind of like an option like in the video settings. You have to go to it. By default, it is turned off. Off is the standard default 10 hertz, 10 times per second update that the game is running at since its launch, since its inception. Now, of course, they obviously changed this by giving you 3 separate options in addition to that. You got low, you got medium, you got high. Now, obviously, people are going to be like, we always recommend high because you want to have the best optimal experience. Now, high, you need a minimum of a 1 megabit download and 1 megabit upload speed. If you have the 1 megabit down and up of both, you're in the clear. And even if you do, and for some reason you're having heavy packet loss, which you'll see at the right of your screen if it pops up, if you have it, there'll be a little symbol saying you're experiencing packet loss. Try lowering it to accommodate for that, and you will still get a better experience than just having it off at the standard 10 hertz. So what they actually mean, low represents 15 hertz. So off is the default 10, low is 15 hertz, medium is 20 hertz, and high is 30 hertz. 30 hertz is what you want. That's like the golden number right there, because that's pretty much what most games play at. Call of Duty, for instance, runs at 30 hertz. That's a pretty smooth game. Obviously, there's a little bit of a difference there between Battlefield and Call of Duty, because Call of Duty uses hit scan weapons. You know, everything is a little bit different, where Battlefield actually has physical things, physical items and projectiles in the world all registering at once. So it's a little bit more difficult to actually update consistently in a fluid fashion in which the game will not stutter or hiccup or any of those possible afflictions that can happen as a result. Another example is Counter-Strike. That game runs at 60 hertz, which is probably one of the smoothest games you'll ever play. There's rarely any instances where you're getting shot around corners or any of those type of issues, because the game is a competitive game and relies heavily on consistent tracking of everything that's happening in the game, because it's competitive. There's no room for bullshit or weird things on the side that can affect players' performance, which is completely out of their hands regardless of player skill. These issues have been finally fixed in Battlefield by introducing those new options, being able to choose the difference. Now, of course, initially people were on the forums talking about how they barely saw a difference, or some people did see a difference, and people were always going on their little rants on the forums talking about why they were still encountering the same issues, they weren't seeing much of a difference. And then, of course, there were those players that did see a difference and were talking about their perspective and their impressions of what happened. So some of these issues were actually come right down to the fact that, well, some of the servers weren't even updated yet. Some of the servers didn't introduce and restart and actually offer that new feature yet, which is why some of the players that were going online trying out the game with this new feature, turning it on, it didn't really make a difference for them because the servers didn't support it yet. So when they were given those impressions, that's kind of one of the main things you have to keep in mind, that when some people were saying they didn't experience a difference, is because that could be a major factor right there, because the vast majority of the servers didn't quite update yet. Some of them did, and those who obviously played on those servers got to experience a new tick rate and got to vent their new impressions of it, which were generally good. A lot of people have been having a lot of good compliments and been loving what DICE did with this recent patch, making the game playable for the first time in almost a year. So how exactly does this high frequency update work? Basically, when you turn it on, it creates this bubble around your character, and depending on how big that bubble is, determines how much information you're being received on your client in that short amount of time within that bubble. So usually if you have it set to high, you'll have a bigger bubble radius, taking in and absorbing a lot more data, and as a result, less dying around corners, less trading kills and hit trades, and less responsive shooting of the gun and the hitting of targets and hitboxes and registration of the actual bullets and all that kind of stuff. The game plays a lot smoother, plays a lot faster, is a lot more reactionary, feels a lot more crisp, and generally just plays a hell of a lot better than it ever has before. Now what you're seeing here is gameplay that I've actually played with the new tick rate on a new server, and I can tell you just from looking at the game, this is the first time in a long time I've actually gone on a game flawless, where I haven't died once in a close quarter environment with regular weapons. It doesn't happen very often in Battlefield 4. In Battlefield 3 it happens all the time. In Battlefield 3 that game actually runs very smoothly, and even considering the game's free now for this prolonged period of time, I was able to go online and encounter a lot of good games because the game actually run and everything I did worked flawlessly. Whereas now, Battlefield 4 is starting to see the turnaround for the first time in a long time, and it's actually doing it justice. The game is actually becoming a lot better as a result. Obviously, there are still many issues that the game has that needs to overcome, and those will come in future patches. DICE is working hard and tirelessly to get these issues resolved because this is one of their main pinnacle flagship games. This game is the game. Battlefield 4 just has so much to offer, and it just lacks in its performance and actual delivery of its content, which is what makes it not that great. Thankfully though, these patches are rolling out and it's improving the game, and hopefully we will see them continue to come out with these updates and overall improve the game as a whole, making it better. My personal experience, as I've said, is a lot better. The game feels snappier, it feels more crisp, it feels faster, it feels a lot more like Battlefield 3, not quite to the smoothness and responsiveness as Battlefield 3, but it's getting there. It's getting to that point. It's playable now. I'm not actually raging nearly as much as I used to when I played this game. I'm not rage quitting or just being fed up with the bullshit that this game is constantly displaying for me. I'm actually having fun with it now. My name's PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me on this video today. I will see you guys on the next one.